and like 2 days in a row, someone asked me for my opinion on them. And I was like, I have no opinions. I just want, and it's so funny because I'm like, I just want to see other people live in their truth. Like, I want
Amen.
you to be following your calling, whatever that is. And if you don't want to be doing something in this moment, don't do it. And that's the most inspiring thing. And that's what I like envision success as. So, like, my opinion, I don't have an opinion on you and how you're working because it doesn't matter. Like, all
Mm.
I want to see is you in alignment.
Unpopular opinion. Grind culture is trash.
Ooh, period. I'm Mickey,
I'm Julia.
and we're strategic hippies.
We're not regular landlords, we're cool ones.
We're fellow freedom seekers helping business minded creatives and free spirits build wealth through real estate.
Welcome to the Strategic Hippie Show.
Okay, so Julia, I know we usually start the show with our subscribe and unsubscribe segment with something we found online. But for this topic, a song came to mind, and I want to know if you know what it is. It go, I believe in miracles. Since you came along, you sexy
You
thing.
said the thing.
So you do.
Whoa, throwback. And
It's just
great. So
silly.
that song I haven't heard that song in a decade, and now it's going to be stuck in my head for the next week. I'm going to be working on the farm, like, you sexy thing.
Yes, they really ate that. And looking up what that
Oh.
song even was, not the band name Hot Chocolate. I love it.
How that's alignment.
Right. Okay. So, do you believe in miracles? And what was the last sexy thing you called in?
Ooh. I am so excited. My voice just got so squeaky because I'm so excited. The word miracles has come up so much lately, and I'm so excited that we're going to talk about this today. I absolutely do believe in miracles, and I want to, definitely share about what that means to me, because it's not like the traditional sense of like, I don't know, the word miracle meant something so different to me growing up. And now it's like everything is a miracle. And
Hmm.
so the short answer is yes. Why do you
Okay.
ask?
Okay, perfect. So a subscribe for miracles. Like, let's just get right into it. How do we even start? You go.
So this of course, was born out of one of our favorite books, Creating Money. And, it was, we were kind of going back and forth of like, what do we want to talk about today? And I was like, well, let's just grab this book and see, what of the play sheets that we can talk about and share with our listeners and have a candid conversation together about. And of course, you went straight to number 11, which, we're getting real woo woo here today. Numerology, 11 is my number. It means to me like alignment. And so I was like, that's a hell yes for me. That's gonna be a subscribe.
Yes. So Creating Money by Sanaya Roman and Duane Packer. I love that you introduced me to this book and are constantly reminding me of it because it's always going to very much have what I need in that moment. And like you said, with the alignment, I just opened it up and it landed on page 134, which is my angel number. One of my angel numbers, 134. And that's the last page of this chapter 11. So, and we're going to circumvent the, what do you say, the US government's chapter 11, which I'm pretty sure is bankruptcy.
That one don't count. Like,
Not that chapter 11. This one
No,
is about
no.
miracles.
This sexy chapter. No, this is the new chapter 11. All
Oh,
right.
period.
Like,
Yes,
no,
period.
yes. And the one thing I got from this reading is that miracles are love in action.
Mm,
And, I talked about how like miracles have just been coming up so much for me in my life these days. And like creating money has been in my life for years. And how it talks about miracles are love and action. It also kind of like raveled into a course in miracles, which is something that like for the last few years I've been like slowly going through and picking up and putting back down. Have you ever heard of a course for miracles?
no, please enlighten me, Queen.
So, A Course in Miracles, the underlying premise is that the greatest miracle is the act of simply gaining a full awareness of love's presence in a person's life.
Mm,
So, I'm going to bring up a whole different resource, and like the common thread here in all of these things as they come up is the word love. And I pulled up Amazon to see like, oh, let me get the bio for this book. And it says A Course in Miracles is a unique spiritual self-study program, a course in mind training designed to undo the illusion that you're separate in any way from God or your fellow humans. At the level of the mind, we are all united as one. And I think of this course as just like an ego deflator. Like
mm,
it just completely, puts me into unity and alignment and connection and like out of the third dimension that we talked about when we were sitting on the beach. And for those who have no context, we talked about the third, fourth, and fifth dimension. And basically the third dimension is where most people live, and it's like ego, fear, greed, conflict. It's basically all of our moving parts in life. And the fourth dimension is where we're doing work to achieve the fifth dimension, which is that feeling of unity and alignment, and we are not separate from others or our higher power.
mhm.
But I'm going to pass it back to you.
Yes, I love it. And it's always the alignment for me. And I don't even know where to start. So I guess I'll go back to our initial reading for creating money. And I love that you brought up from this miracles as love. And the affirmation that really stuck for me is I demonstrate love with action every day. And I am constantly always getting out of my brain. It's so funny because growing up, mentally gifted, just like I don't even call it stigma because it's not a bad thing to be a smart person. Like, it's like, oh, you're just like the smart person. But now I'm seeing myself as a soul and I have to like let my little brain get out of here. So I have to not actually listen to this air quote smart part of me and lead with my heart. So the first part that I want to say from this book or read is it starts with sometimes your mind stands in the way of miracles. The mind is good for planning, setting goals, and visualizing. To speed up the process and create miracles after you have magnetized something, open your heart. And I've been doing a lot of like heart clearing over the last week. And in another class that I took, I learned about Cindy Dale. She is a author, intuitive, and energy healer, and she has this concept of the God spot, and it has been really
Mm.
enlightening for me with working with my heart chakra, working with opening up my heart. And it's funny because even in creating money, they're like, don't criticize or judge. And that's been like the thing for me over the last week. It's like whenever like that, my favorite, irritability comes up, it's like, are you irritated because you're judging something? Like, did you judge what an outcome was supposed to be? And now you have this like negative emotional experience. So it's like, okay, let me not be so judgy with my Peabody brain and open my heart.
Mm,
So I wanted to share what how Cindy Dale describes the God spot, because I love when science and the esoteric align, because it's just more of that alignment. So the God spot is a unique space in the center of the chest. Herein lies our own indwelling spirit, God's spirit, and another very special ingredient, a cell from the body of God. And she describes this God spot as smack in the middle of the heart chakra, the subtle energy center that links all other chakras. This chakra is home to the physical heart, which emanates more electrical, magnetic, and electromagnetic energy than does the brain. Besides generating a field stronger than does any other organ, the heart interconnects us to others. And when spiritual attributes are meditated upon within this area, healing effects occur throughout the body. For all of that, the God spot adds even more potency to energy healing performed through this bodily area. The reason it in that it is proposed to contain a physical cell of God. Interactions through this location represent love made manifest in material reality, right down to your cells, DNA, and subatomic wave particles. Like how
wow.
how are we just loving ourselves? Like,
Wow. I love you said how love made manifest in material reality, right?
mhm,
So like that's what miracles are, right?
yes.
So it's such this new concept of like love, alignment, miracles.
Mhm,
And like perspective, how are you feeling? Miracles. Down
yes.
to your cells, a subatomic wave particles, miracles.
Yes.
And you know, it's another thing that came up for me because talking about love and you know, there's so much spiritual content and so much self development, and there's like 8,000 different ways to heal and to feel better and to like biohack and all of these things. There's just a ton of different ways. But if you take all of this content and I bet if you like put it in an AI and be like, what's it all have in common? And it spit out a word, it would be love.
Mm,
And another thing that I was shown recently is this book called The Law of One. Have you heard of that?
I haven't read it.
So I started reading it, and in the intro it says, this is like right in the beginning, whether they wish to or not, whether they understand it or not, regardless of any influence, each and every one of the people who dwell upon planet Earth will shortly make a choice. There will be no middle area. There will be those who choose to follow the path of love and light, and those who choose otherwise.
Period.
Period. And they say, like, there are two options, right? Like, it's love or like off the deep end.
Yeah.
Unmanageability, control, fear, ego, like call it
Yes.
whatever you will. It's the opposite of love. So it's like
Yes.
love and light, miracles,
Yes.
alignment, feeling. And it really gets, it's so simple to be broken down in these two things. And we love complicating it. We love writing like thousands of different books on the same thing. But, you know, it's my opinion that it's all the same. And
It
it's
it
all so
truly
simple.
it truly is. And it's reminding me, there's an Erica Badu song, and
Mm.
she has this like trippy computer voice and says, there are only two frequencies in the universe, love and fear. Any other emotion is emitted from one of the two. And obviously, I subphrased, sub, whatever you call that, but paraphrase, there we go. But
Yes.
it's very much just that. And it's so humbling. And I'm always so grateful for these conversations as my weekly reminders to be in acknowledgement of what am I really doing out here? Like, am I in love or am I in fear? Like, even when
Mm.
before I even picked this book up, because we were talking about, like, we started the conversation on this book last night, and I wasn't in the space yet to get the message I needed. It was after I was really open and ready to receive, okay, like, it's not the end of the day, like yesterday when I'm trying to figure out, like, I'm trying to turn off my, like, air quote, work brain. And that wasn't the time to get into some love stuff. Like, it was when I was truly open for the miracle, the message of what I needed in that moment. So I'm just very grateful. And I love that all the things are just aligning for miracles. And I think this would be a timely place to transition into the play sheet, which is one of the coolest parts of this book, is it gives you opportunities
Mm.
to reflect on, you know, how you're actually using what you're reading in your real life.
Wow. It's so like I was sitting around a fire with some people the other day and I asked the question, I'm like, what's the opposite of um, fear? And everyone was like, courage? And I'm
Mm,
like, the opposite of fear is love.
yeah.
And I love that you said that, the Erica Baduks. I'm like, wow, like those who get it, you know,
Mhm.
she gets it.
Oh, real bad. Like, that's my first mentor in all of this. Like, because it's like when you're younger, it's just like, oh, I'm just drawn to this certain frequency. Like, like I'm drawn to this music, like, and
Hmm.
it's so funny. I was in this taco spot a couple weeks ago, and the guy working there was like ranting about a customer, and he just called himself. He was like, let me calm down, just put some Erica Badu on. And I was like, that's just perfect. Sometimes you just got to catch yourself. Like, it's not even about meeting that person's energy. It's about changing the energy of the space and getting back to it, because that's all you can be in control of. All you are ever in control of is how you're showing up, and showing up in love. Like, when I think about that, I'm not even like thinking about miracles. I'm just feeling love. And that's how you allow things to come into you, because I'm not checking for an outcome. I'm just in the energy of love. And I know that, okay, what's for me will come to me. And that's it. And that's all.
Mm, I think, fear and like abundance and fear and love like can't coexist. And like for me, control is a form of fear.
Mm,
And like one example is like, when it's also in alignment with like letting go and surrender and alignment. It's like a bunch of different words to access the feeling that is what we're talking about as love. And if we apply this in our business, like for me it's like I can have all of the ideas, all of the control, have a plan, and if I'm like forcing my way, then I'm in fear rather than in flow or in love. And for an example, it's like I had a vacancy and it's like I'm not stressing about the vacancy. I'm not like doing all of these things to try. And then like, oh, everything will work out perfectly. And like out of nowhere, the perfect tenant like disappears. And like, this is the property that, has a lot of green space. And one thing I've been struggling is like now that I'm not in Philly, my property's with green space, no one's taking care of. And they're like, we're dying to find a property with green space. Like, I work at PHS and the nursery and this. And I'm like,
Oh gosh.
oh, like if
Yeah.
I had tried to go out and find this person, it wouldn't have worked out. But it's just like these
Mhm.
constant, like, oh, when you let go, things happen the way they're supposed to happen. Sometimes it's in your
Mhm.
favor, and sometimes it's always in your favor, but sometimes, it's what you want, and sometimes it's not. But it's like
Okay.
things are always working out for you and for the
Yes.
greater good.
Yeah. Capitalism got you down? Aw. Take control of your life and finances by gaining financial freedom through real estate. If you're over grind culture and resonate with the energy of this show, let's dive deeper on creating a life you don't have to escape from. Click the link in the description box to join our next free Financial Freedom for Strategic Hippies webinar.
Good.
Yes,
So
that was
with
a
that,
real message.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
just like there's so much of that. And with that, I want to go to the play sheets. We love this book because it has play sheets, and I love a good writing prompt. Give me homework.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
going to ask you the first question, and if you would share with us. So it says, write down all the times you can remember that you received money or something that was special to you as a miracle, with a feeling of divine intervention or in a totally unexpected way. So, do
You
you
know,
have any that come to mind?
I do, and I had one prepared I'll share, but since you shared that one about your tenant, first of all, congratulations because vacancies are so mid. I had a similar experience with the last unit I was renting out, and I had a few rounds of people that I accepted to move into the space, and then for whatever reason they didn't move in, and I just accepted that of, I set a prayer every time. It's like if this person's meant to be here, they'll be here. And the last person who is the person who we both are in alignment with moving, it was like a very similar experience. Like she loves plants, she loves all of the like light in there. And it was like I knew that this space is for a particular person, and for this person to actually show up was everything. So to my actual example, a few years ago, like my first property, I had a couple who were tenants, and it was their first apartment that they ever rented. And I was a newer property manager landlord at that time as well. And one thing that I like from this miracles chapter, even before the play sheet, is it sets you in the mindset of think of a miracle you created for someone else. So with that framework, I even thought of this example because for them, I know a lot of landlords are respectfully sticklers for credit and past rental history. However, I took a chance on them with they didn't really have credit, and they had never rented before. They were just young people looking for housing. And I know how that feeling is. So if it's in my capacity, I'm going to always show up for people like that. Like everybody needs a chance. And they wound up being really good tenants. We like grew up together as far as them in their housing and adulthood, and then me as a property manager. And while I was in sales, I wound up helping them buy their first property at a time where it was like this amazing Philly, like first time home buyers grant. And they wound up going to close in with like less than $1,000. And if you know anything about how
Yes.
people go to closing with tens of thousands of dollars. So it was just so beautiful. And I think of it as one of the miracles that comes to mind because we learned and experienced so much from each other. And just randomly last week, they called me just to check in with their family. They have two kids. They're just like, we were just thinking about you. How are you? And it was just so like heartwarming to know that they're doing good. Like, and then before that, they even just were thinking of me, like, So I like to think about this love part. It's just really all love. Like I love that they're doing good. I love that they checked in, that I'm doing good. And yeah, I know it was supposed to be like a miracle about me, but I think that's so good to me was like that, finding the miracle in that. And technically I
Mm.
do have a miracle for me, finding my triplex. I set the intention of I want to be in this neighborhood, and I want a triplex in this neighborhood. And it was after I had missed out on a deal I just knew I wanted to have. It was like a newer construction property in a more poppin' developmental area. And the number that I offered, they didn't accept. And then after I had closed on the property that I now have, they lowered the price to my original offer. And I couldn't even be salty because it's like, that property would have been good for real estate me. Like Mickey Mansions would have killed it with that property, but my Kia, she needed the property that I actually have because it fits me more.
I just have to say the story with your tennis is just so wholesome.
I
And there's
know.
just like the um, serendipity, the mutually beneficial relationship. What is that word that I'm looking for? Symbiotic, maybe.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And
Mm.
when you remove the like, oh, it has to be this way, and just like show up and be of service, then the way that it unfolds. And like one of my favorite things about like my real estate investing journey is that my first three tenants, they stayed, and the only reason they moved out is because they bought a house. And like I
Yes.
helped them buy a house, and I was like, I want all of my tenants to become homeowners. I want
Yes.
everyone to own real estate and to build wealth. And it just, what a beautiful game that we get to play. And like in the
Mhm.
meantime, pay me rent.
Okay.
But
And don't be late.
Wait. But I'm going to show you the way. I'm going to be completely open on how I did it and what I'm
Right.
doing and how I'm leveraging like this portfolio, and you're paying your rent payments, and I'm going to give you the blueprint, because
Yes.
I'm not unique and I'm not special, and this is not something that like I didn't fall into some like lucky like, oh, sum of money or something,
A
like just
windfall.
a windfall. I just did a few things that you can do too. I'll show you the
Exactly.
way.
And I love that. And it comes back to, we always come back to, if this like give and receive, and your ability to give and another person's ability to receive, because that kind of energy can go totally different from somebody who's not able to receive the gift of somebody sharing information with them. Like,
Mhm.
so I'm grateful for the experiences I've had, like you, where I've had tenants become homeowners, because the energy for that is very special. And it's one of the things that when I check in and I'm like, why am I still in real estate, or why is real estate still like my air quote thing? And I'm interested in all these like spiritual, medical, metaphysical things, and why this space we're creating is so amazing for me. Is like two things can and do exist at once.
So Yeah, I love that. Like for so long was like, oh, spirituality and business don't mix. I'm like, actually they have to. What?
Yes,
And
has to.
I, I was on this call with some other like regenerative agriculture entrepreneurs earlier today, and like the way people describe themselves as like, I'm a recovering venture capitalist. I'm a recovering hedge fund manager. And it's like all of these people
Mm,
that like want to like take on a new journey in business because the old way just didn't work. Right? Like
yeah.
I love real estate as a tool, but the way I did it wasn't manageable. Like
Hmm.
it's not sustainable personally and spiritually to work that much every day and like completely lose sense of self and connection with nature. And so now it usually takes a point of burnout to discover that there may be another way.
Yeah.
And I have to come before my business.
1,000%. Like, who are you doing it for? And I appreciate you sharing that part about burnout, because even this miracle chapter mentions that, like, we have to be better at cultivating this love, cultivating these miracles without it coming from a moment of crisis. Like, because that's where we really do soul searching. And that's the part I'm really working on. It's like, girl, you can dig in your soul any day. Like, you don't have to wait until the world is collapsing. Like
Hmm.
I want to save some of these bricks.
Listen, so I heard this line it was a Ram Dass documentary about his like final days. It was like so beautiful. It's like we're all walking each other home. But he said this. There was this one quote where he said, "I don't," because he had had a stroke, and then like it had gifted him like such like spiritual like gifts. And he was like,
Mm,
I don't wish the stroke on anyone. I wish the grace of the stroke. And
mhm.
he probably said it so much more eloquently than I did. But like, I think of that as myself. It's like, the things that for me have been pivotal moments of change have always been pain. And I was like, man, I don't wish the pain on anyone else, but I wish the grace that came from it. And I
Mhm.
call it, for me in the past, I've had to receive the gift of desperation, God. And for me, I had to get uncomfortable enough or desperate enough to find another way. And I was like, man, why do I really have to do it that way? Like,
Yes.
is there an easier, softer way? Like, can't I just wake up and be like, oh, that doesn't work for me? I'm like, my brain is like, let's really make sure.
Let's go down this path of the most resistance to find out.
Yeah, we gotta really check.
Yes, I love that. And I want to ask you the second question from the play sheet. And I think that I'm like nosy, and I know you have a good answer. Is there a miracle you would like in your life right now? Are you open to receiving it? Ask now for that miracle to come into your life.
Hmm. Oh, this is good. It's so interesting though. And like sidebar, it ebbs and flows, but like lately I've just been like so in alignment. And like 2 days in a row, someone asked me for my opinion on them. And I was like, I have no opinions. I just want, and it's so funny because I'm like, I just want to see other people live in their truth. Like, I want
Amen.
you to be following your calling, whatever that is. And if you don't want to be doing something in this moment, don't do it. And that's the most inspiring thing. And that's what I like envision success as. So, like, my opinion, I don't have an opinion on you and how you're working because it doesn't matter. Like, all
Mm,
I want to see is you in alignment. And I said, I was like, I've been feeling that. I'm like, you've been joyful and you communicate well, and so I think the same thing. I really do feel like my life is like just a giant miracle right now, and I love the the words divine intervention. I use that all the time. And, lately, I could write a book on the last like 60 days of the things that have transpired by my openness and willingness to just like not be the one in charge, right? I just show up, I put myself in rooms, I like follow what I feel like doing in any given moment. And um, one story is like I was hosting a work exchange recently, and he had a friend on the island, and she had found my profile and sent it to one of my friends in Philly and was like, look, I found the Puerto Rican version of you. And she was like, oh, that's Julia. And she was visiting her. And meanwhile, this girl and my work exchange were planning a visit. She was going to come out to the place. And then she came with her. And like now one of my friends is just sitting on my property. And I'm like,
I love
how did
it.
you get here?
I love
Like,
it.
and it's just that all the time, over and over again. Like the people I'm meeting, the places I'm ending up with, the things that I'm doing, like the opportunities that are coming in, like coming my way, and just like everything is perfect. And I can just tell myself that, like
Mm,
everything, like if it's for me, it's for me, and if it's not, it's not. My plan is so small when I compare it to the greater plan. I don't know
mhm.
what that is. But like it's so fun to be living that way. It's so fun to be like, I don't have to be in control today. I just have to show up in love.
Amen.
And if I don't, let me go back to my room for a minute.
Right. Let me go talk to her. I love that. That's like mic drop bar. My life is a miracle. And that's it.
Mm,
Like we don't even have to get granular. My life is a miracle.
yes,
Mm,
sure
yeah.
is.
So, so good. And just like that, it's been 36 minutes. Like how?
Amazing. Just feeling a lot of gratitude, and like I just keep looking over. Like, and when I talk, I like look to my left and it's just like this mountain range with palm trees
Mm,
in the
girl.
forefront. I'm just like, and like how sweet. Like Strawberry, you got like an 8,000 square foot building to hang in and you
Right.
pick right there.
She's like, this feels nice and abundant for my little nap right now.
And I got the cat next to me over here. Yeah,
Oh my
there's
gosh.
just
I love all your
um,
animals. That vista is like, it makes me in gratitude for sight because it's just so, so amazing. Oh my gosh.
yes.
Uh, your life is a miracle. It
Our life is a miracle. All of these
is.
things.
It is for sure. I'm just always so grateful for you and the alignment we find ourselves in, how I am challenged in silly ways to continue to show up for this experience of strategic hippieism and how, miracles just continue to unfold.
Absolutely. And we'll end with a moment centering that spot smack dab in the middle of the heart chakra. We'll call
Hmm.
it the God spot, and we'll just breathe into that and go
Thank
about
you.
our days.
Thank you. We are so grateful to be of service through the Better Than Success real estate investing community. If you're ready to explore freedom on your own terms too, we would love to journey with you on this wealth building adventure. Check out the description box to join our next Financial Freedom for Strategic Hippies webinar and learn more about Julia, me, Mickey, and BTS. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video and subscribe to our channel. Peace. We'll see you soon.